Welcome to the course for PowerShell Automation for Azure SQL Server DBA with networking concept. In this video session, we are going to learn why load balancer is required for listener to work in Azure always on. If you are going to create ability group listener in Azure cloud, then it has to be work properly. You have to create the load balancer. But why load balancer is required in Azure, right? So that one we are going to learn in this session, right? So I have already created my 3 virtual machine, and in the last video session we have learned how to create the virtual machine, how to add with the domain, and after that how to install and configure the always on, or how to create the listener. Till here we have done, right? So uh, but till we have learned till here, right? So till creating the ability groups, I think you don't have any doubt. So in this today video session, we are going to create the listener, and after creating the listener, we are going to test whether this listener means outside, means anywhere we are able to connect the SQL server from listener or not, right? And why we are connecting the listener, right? Why we are creating the listener? Why we are creating? Because listener will direct connect to the primary, which replica is the primary, where the database is the primary, right? It is going to connect with that, right? If you have two server, right, and one database is primary in the one server, right, and here what happened, you don't have in the connection string, if you are going to define node 1, right, and node 2 become the primary, so what will happen, your connection is going to fail. So instead of that, you are going to use the listener. So I will explain in this picture first what is the listener. So and then it has become very easy for you, like you have one server that is called server 1, and you have other server that is called server 2. Here is your application, which one you have to connect in this server. It has to connect with this, or either it has to connect with this. So what happened in this application, how it is going to connect your database server? This is a database server, right? And in this, what is going to be happen, you have created the ability groups AG, right? So in AG there will be one database, and you have the replica on it, right? So what will happen, if you are going to this database is the primary database in here, right, in the S1, right? And what is going to be happen, if this ability group is fail over to this one S2, what will be happen, this S2 is going to become the primary. And in the connection string, you are going to mention to if you are going to mention the server name, like you have given the server name and given the database name, just example like some DB you have given here, and it is pointing to connect with this one S1 now. But what happen if your database, if your AG is going to be failover and S2 become the primary, then what will happen, your connection string is going to be failed, because in the connection string you have given the S1. So this time application team has to change from S1 to S1. So there is an extra work that people has to do. Because of that, they have created the listener. Like this listener you cannot create into the mirroring, right? So because of that, they created the listener, right? So like his name is the L1. So what is going to be happen this time, instead of writing S1 or S2, you are going to give the L1 and DB. So this L1 will always check which is the primary, and it will connect with this. So what happen if the failover is happen, either automatic or something, and it's went to the S2, that your connection is become the primary into the S2 this time. So what happened, your listener will automatically, it is going to connect with S2. This is the work of that listener. So why we are going to use the listener? To connect, listener is going to connect with the primary, right? So no need of changing the connection string, right? This is the main. I don't want to explain here more on the listener or always on site, because we have already discussed too much things, and we are going to discuss here, and then you will see the practical, and you will understood more, right? So I have to do everything in the Azure. And next is, even after showing this everything in the Azure, I will go to my virtual machine, and I am going to explain you in the more detail again. So even I will compare with Azure cloud and your virtual machine, right? So even I have the virtual machine I have installed here. I will later, I'm going to show you. First come to this infrastructure. This is my virtual machine is that all IP and all. So what I'm going to do, I will just write like this, and I'm writing here this Azure, right? So Azure, what happened, I having three node I have created here, right? So one is domain DC. If you're going to see what is the domain DC IP, right? So you can see the domain DC IP. This is my domain controller, and my IP is, right? My IP is where it is. It is 10.0.0.4, right? This is my domain controller. I will not. I will put it here. Why it is not going? Okay, it is going down only. Leave it. No problem. Or I will put it. Okay, now it is came. Okay, that is the one, and I'm going with the other node, and that node is your node one. If you are going to see node one, which IP it is using, this is using the IP address that is this one 10.0.0.5. I'm just listing it here, so it is going to become easy for you once I will do the practical. So this having the node 01 having the IP is 10.0.0.5, and I'm going with node 2, and node 2 having the IP address is, last I will go and I will see what is the IP it is here. So you can see here it is 10.0.0.6, right? So what IP we have? We have 10 of 10.0.4, 5 and 6. 4 is using for the domain controller, and node 1 and node 2 IP is 5 and 6. And this everything is connected with the one domain, right? Okay. Next, what I'm going to do, I will try to connect with this all server first. I will, of course, I will go with first, I will connect the domain controller. I will give my password and try to enter into it. If you want, you can go because I have already created a domain. So PowerShell slash user. I'm just copying this name and going to connect with my domain controller. And after that, I will go and connect my node 1. Okay. Going to download the RDP file and connecting now. So more choice, I will go with the PowerShell slash demo user. Okay, this one is I'm connecting with node 1 now. So node 1, domain controller, node 1, and now I have to connect with node 2. So actually I have actually two node. It is the part of that cluster, right? So now I will go and I will try to connect with node 2 here. I will go with the, because I have everything I have added here in the domain. So that's why I'm showing you. Okay, now I have connected now. So it is going to connect. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going with my all server now. So you can go, I will go with the domain controller, right? So then on domain controller, I have already installed the AD and DNS server, right? So if you will go to the DNS, just see it, DNS manager. If I will expand the DNS, you can see the forward lookup zone, and you will see the PowerShell.com. This is my domain. In the domain, you can see there is an entry of the cluster name and node 1 and node 2. This three it is there. So, and the cluster, so 4, 5, 6, you understood. So cluster, I have used the 10.0.0.7. If you want to see, I will go to my node 1. I will try to open the clueadmin.msc. And I'm using the 2016 OS and 2.2016 SP2 for SQL Server. So let's see what is my cluster IP address, which one I have created here. I will click on this. I will go to this. You can see it is the 10.0.0.7 it is. And name is Win2016 is my cluster name. I will write here Win2016 is my cluster name. And I'm using the IP 10.0.0.7. So 7 is my cluster IP. So that's why you can see this is entries here. So DNS having the all entry of your node, right? Right, which are the IP it is using it, right? So DNS is nothing but your name to IP and IP to name, right? So you can say in this way. So now what I'm going to do, I will try to connect with my SQL server here, and let's see it is connecting or not. And I will try to create the listener now. So I will hit on in this SSMS, and I will do the same thing in the node 2 as well. So if you want to see, so I will type the CMD command prompt, and I will type node host name, and you can see it is a node 2, and go to here what it is saying, host name. It is the node 1. So now you are clear with node 1 and node 2 only I have connected here in this 2 machine. And next is I am connecting through the SQL server also, right? So I will try to connect with my SQL server here. So I will connect with node 1 and connecting with node 2. So both node I was able to connect with this, and successfully you can see in my all rule and everything is up or not. You can see the AG is already created, ability group, because till here we have learned all nodes are up, right? So this time what I'm trying to do, I will try to create this and here DB1 is the part of ability groups, and I have created only one ability groups. Now what I'm doing, I will try to create the listener here. So I will go to the listener, how you are creating, add the listener, right? And I will give the name as list 01 something I'm giving, right? List 01. I will go with which port I'm going to use, 1433, that is a default port, right? I will go to the DSCP, I will use the statics IP. I will try to add it here. So what address I'm giving, 10.0.0.8 I'm giving now, because till 4 is my domain, 5 is my node 1, 6 is my node 2, and 7 is my it is IP is used for the Windows cluster. So I'm using this time 8 for my listener. So if you'll go to this node and go to the roles, and if you'll click here, you cannot see anything here. Resources, you can't see. It is coming only this much, right? So you can see the AG1. So once I will create the listener, then you can see something. It is going to be add that listener here. So if I will go here and I will try to click OK and try to click OK. So now my listener is creating now. So now you can see it is the same thing, whatever list01 I have given, and it is connected here. So this is nothing but it is the your listener. So if I will try to connect with the listener, let's see whether I was able to connect or not. So now my primary is my node 1. If you will see here, if I will click it here, you can see the node 1 is primary, and in that, and I am there in the standing on the node 1 only. From the node 1 is primary, I am there in the node 1. I am trying to connect the listener, that is the list01, and I was successfully able to connect. So now what I'm going to do, I will go to the node 2 now, and here also I have opened that node 2 I have connected, and successfully node 2 I was able to connect the node 2. I will go to the node 1, and node 1 also I am able to connect. And what is my listener, I will go and I will check here. So the same listener name I will use to connect from my node 2, that is list01. I will write list01, right? And I will try to connect it here. What you are saying, it is you will not able to connect with the listener, right, in the other. So if your node 01 is primary and you are connecting to from that node, so you will able to connect. But this is not going to happen in the real time, right? Because your application server is somewhere different server. People is trying to connect from the outside of the SQL server or outside from the server, right? It is not inside. They will go to the database server, right? So you will not able to connect, right? It is not connecting. And why it is not connecting means that one we are going to learn here. But the problem it is, you can see now, in the real time, nobody will go inside that which is the primary, and there they will launch the application. They will not do like this. It will be outside the database server, right? So we can connect outside of the anywhere in the world. We can connect this server, right? You are standing in the India and you are connecting your server to the US server, SQL server, so, and using some application, and it has to connect using the listener. But here itself, even this server is the part of the same network, and we are not able to connect. That is the problem in this Azure, right? And in the Azure, because of this, we are going to because we are going with load balancer. Let understood little bit more in the theoretical and going inside what will be happen actually in on-prem, and why we don't want the load balancer into the on-prem. On-prem, we are not creating anything, but we are able to connect the SQL server anywhere from the listener, and we are not creating any load balancer in the on-prem. But why? So that only we are going to learn here. And before going to that, first we will go and understood this PPT, that is called what is the ARP protocol. That is very important, and you have to understood this logic. Then I will move for the load balancer. Then it is going to become very easy. Okay, so what is going to be happen? You have one server, right? That is the sender server, right? It has to communicate with this, and assume you are there into the same network. So my network is not different network, it is the same network, right? So I am there, the part of the same network, and I am trying to communicate with this receiver, right? So from computer A want to communicate with the computer D, or machine A want to communicate with the D. So in the previous video session, I have already explained about the OSI model. So if any system want to communicate with any other server, right? So it has to follow the OSI model. And in the OSI model, there is the 7 layer. So if you want, you can go with my previous video, and you can see how this OSI model is going to be work. And I have explained everything into the detail, but here I will not go that much deeper, but I will go little bit. I will give you the hands on here, right? So there will be something called there is the 7 layer, that is the called application layer, presentation layer, session layer, transport layer, network layer, mac layer, and physical layer. This 3 layer, that is application layer, presentation layer, and session layer, is the software layer. So leave it about that. Come for the next one, that is the transport layer, and transport layer is the intermediate, right? This is going to be work with your software layer and your hardware layer. So what you understood, there is a 7 layer, right? Top three, that is application layer, session layer, and presentation layer, and session layer. Application layer, presentation layer, and the session layer. This 3 layer is called as the software layer. After that, there is transport layer. Then after that, there will be network layer, mac layer, and physical layer, right? So this three, down three is called as your hardware layer, and upper three is called as the software layer, and between that there will be transport layer. If any system or any machine want to communicate with the any other machine, it's required IP address and MAC address, right? So so IP address, it will become under the network layer, and your MAC address, it will become from the MAC layer, right? Or data link layer, right? Without these two things, you will not able to communicate with if any system will not able to communicate with the other system. So what will be happen if the sender A having the address? Just assume this sender A having only the IP address, right? IP address. Okay, it's having the IP address, but it's not having the MAC address. In this case, what it will do? So this system is not going to communicate with the other machine. So sender A is not going to communicate with the sender B because it's don't having the receiver. So system machine D MAC address is not available with the sender A right? So it is not going to communicate. In this case, what it will do, it will be going to do the broadcasting. What is the meaning of broadcasting? Means it will be broadcast means it is going to ask the each system which is connected to in its network. So it is going to ask with everyone, and everyone having the in the this is the one network. I told you I'm not talking the outside of the network. And then the same network, each can communicate with the each other, right? Each can, easily can communicate with each other, right? So what will be happen now? So now, in the same network, it has to communicate. Sender A has to communicate with the or I can say machine A want to communicate with the machine D, but machine A don't having the MAC address of the machine D, but it's having its IP address. So what it will do, it is going to do the broadcast. And when it will do the broadcast, what is the meaning of this broadcast? Means it is going to ask with the everyone. It is asking with the B. Hey, this is the IP address. Whether you have this IP address, it is going to ask with C. This is the IP address. You have the IP address. It is asking with the D. It is asking with the E. It is asking with the F. It is going to ask with the each machine. Hey, you have the IP address. This is the IP address I want to communicate, but I don't know the MAC address. So how I am going to communicate with you? So which system having the IP address, it is going to send again, and it is going to inform this machine what IP address you want to communicate. This is my IP address. And then it is going to tell like, okay, please tell me your MAC address. So it is going to be send its MAC address to this one, right? And it will be having the MAC address. So once this MAC address it will get, right, what it will do, it is going to update into the ARP table. It is going to update into the ARP table, right? So next time, if the sender will don't having the MAC address, what it will do, first it will look for the ARP table. That is called as your cache of the ARP, right? So it is going to maintain that. So it will go and it will check the ARP table. It will go and check the cache of the ARP table. It will try to figure out which IP I want to communicate. What is IP? What is its MAC address? If it is not having the MAC address, what it will do? It will do the broadcast. And once it will do the broadcast, means in the same network which is connected with the some sender, it is going to ask, this is my IP address. I don't know your MAC address. I want to communicate with you. Then receiver, which machine the having the same IP address where sender want to talk, it is going to be give some information of the MAC address, and the communication is going to be start. So this is going to be happened into the this one is going to be happen in the on-prem. And the say this is the ARP. So ARP table it is going to update, right? So now what I will try to do, I will go to my here, and I will try to explain this PPT, right? So in the below picture, what you have seen, okay, we are going to discuss now ARP. So ARP full form is Address Resolution Protocol. So what is the meaning of this? Means if you don't like DNS, what DNS will do? DNS will mean you have the server name, it is going to give you the IP address, and if you have the IP address, it is going to be give you the name. So name to IP, IP to name. This will be happen by the domain name system, that is called DNS. But here ARP means Address Resolution Protocol is going to, it is going to manage your IP to your MAC address. So IP having your MAC address, MAC, it is going to maintain that ARP table. Okay, so coming to the my PPT, in the below picture, all machine in the same network and communicate each other, right? Sender system has to communicate with the receiver system, means sender is A and he want to communicate with the D, right? As per my picture, in this case we need IP address and MAC address. Why we need? Because you know the OSI model, because these two things your system cannot talk, right? There will be something called IP address, there is something called MAC address, and there will be something called port also. Means in the system you want to communicate with the any individual application, particular application, that time it's required the port number. So where you will get the MAC address? MAC address, it will give the network interface card. So in the each computer can have their own MAC address, and in the in the computer, it can have multiple of the MAC address. MAC address is not the address of your computer, it is the address of your network interface card. And which are the net if you have four in network interface card, it you have the four MAC address you can see in your system. So that thing we have already discussed. So don't become confused like MAC address is the address of your system or your computer. No, it is a network interface card. So even people can change the network interface card, and it can change their MAC addresses. And this time, whatever we are discussing, we are discussing the on-prem. Be sure about this. So here I am going to teach you what is the ARP. So what you understood, for the communication we required the MAC address and the IP address, right? Then the sender A and receiver D, it is going to be communicate. I think it is D only, otherwise I will check the picture first. Yes, it is the D. So A and D can communicate with each other, right? In our case, sender don't have the receiver MAC address, but sender knows the IP address of the all system as picture. So it's know the each and every. So sender A having the IP address all system, all machine. Okay, now it will check the ARP caches. So what it will do, first it will go to the ARP cache and try to check that MAC address is available with it or not. If it is not available, then ARP will come into the picture, that is called address resolution protocol, right? And in ARP, what it will do, it is going to map the IP address with the MAC address. But how it is going to be happen, sender will send, so sender will send the ARP request packet to all of the system, and this will knows as broadcasting. Broadcasting means everyone you are sending it. So broadcasting means everyone I want to talk, and like I am shouting and I'm asking, hey Manoj, where are you? So even which I don't know, if you are going to any apartment and there is the multi and you are outside the apartment and you don't know which floor he belongs to, so you are just shouting it, hey Manoj, where are you? So the meaning of this means I'm doing the broadcast, I'm telling everyone, and once the Manoj is listen to me, he will come out and he will say, hey, I am there in the 601, come to that, right? So he will give the address. So same thing it is happen here. So your sender will don't know the MAC address, and but he knows the apartment means that building, and he's shouting means he's doing the broadcasting, and it is asking to everyone, please tell me which is this IP, right? So and then after that, the receiver, it is going to be give its MAC address. Okay, now ARP request package has been accepted by the receiver, means Manoj is going to accept, hey, I am the Manoj, I am here, right? Same thing. So in this ARP request packet contain the receiver IP, and it will be accepted only which having the same IP address as receiver. Means the meaning of this means, so if you have multiple of system and your sender is asking for that IP, so it can be accepted by that system only which having the same IP address, right? I hope it is clear. So just example. So this is the example I'm going to explain. So what happened here? So what is going to be happen? So this want IP address like 10.0.0.10, some this IP address, right? So and this 10 IP address is for this one. So when it is going to be asked for everyone, so this time which having this IP address, then 10.0.0.10, this is only going to be accept this sender request, right? So that only I want to tell you here. Okay. Okay, 1 second. I will clear this. Okay. Okay. So why it is coming here? I have to just clean this. Okay. Now what I'm okay. Now okay. This one I have already explained. So in this ARP request packet contain the receiver IP address, and it will be accepted by only having the same IP address as receiver is asking, right? So after receiving the ARP request packet by the receiver, then receiver will send the ARP send the ARP other packet to the sender, and this package having the receiver IP and MAC address means this Manoj is going to be give his address, right? And he's coming to that place and is starting the communication. The same thing, the receiver is going to be give the that packet, and it's having the IP address and the MAC address, right? So now sender having the MAC address and the IP of the receiver, and it will start the communicating with the each other. So we can say ARP is the protocol that used to resolve the IP address to MAC address, right? uh, okay, and next we can say when two system want to communicate with each other, is required the MAC address to be identify the system. So why the MAC address is used? MAC address is used to identify the system. So what is the MAC address? MAC address having the 48-bit address to identify the machine. So I have already created the video for the MAC address. Go and watch that. There I have explained into the more details. So now I hope it is clear for you what is the broadcast address, right? So what is the broadcast and how this is going to be happen? In the ability group also, what is going to be happen? What is going to be happen here? This in the system, in Azure, it is not going to support the broadcast address, right? If if the Azure is going to support the broadcast, then easily that sender which it want to communicate, what it will do, it is going to be checked. But if I'm telling you in the Azure whether it is possible, if any person don't know, sender don't know the MAC address and he want to communicate with the other system, right? So whether it is possible? No, in Azure it is not possible, because in the cloud, in the Azure, broadcast is not supported by any cloud system. So that only I have written here, right? So so you can see in the it broadcast is not going to support, right? So what will be going to be happen in the in here, you can see. Okay, so we will come to that next point. So first you can see here in that Azure, what happened? You having the node 1, node 2, node 3, and node 4, right? And listener is going to be connect with the your primary replica, that one you know already. But what happened once the listener is going to be failed from one replica, means node 1 to node 4, just example here, node 4 is going to become the primary, then listener has to connect with the node 4. In that case, what listener is doing, listener is going to ask which IP is your the which IP, or if I'm talking about IP, the meaning of means which system is the primary node. Primary, who knows these things? This thing is known by your DNS server, because if you go to the DNS, I shown you DNS having the all entry about everything, every IP. So DNS knows that this IP is now primary, means DNS knows like 05 IP is primary and 05 is node 1. So means node 1 is primary or node 2 is primary, right? But it DNS don't know the MAC address of it, right? So that's why in the on-prem, what is going to be happen? In on-prem, what happened? Listener will go to the DNS. DNS will give the IP address. It will doing the broadcast, and after broadcast, it is come to know, because listener will don't know the MAC address, right? Listener will don't know the MAC address. He knows the IP address, right? Where he got the IP address? He's got the IP address from the listener, right? Not listener, DNS. DNS is given the IP address, which is the primary. And then after coming here, it is doing the broadcast, and it is asking, hey, this is the IP. Which IP is this? Node 4 is saying, just example. It is saying like this is my IP, and node 4 is giving the MAC address, and listener will also having the IP, right? You can see listener will also having the IP. Till now, I have not created. Oh, I have created, just I will refresh. Then you can see that listener will be also added here. So you can see listener is also added. So listener will be start communicating with the node 4, right? This will happen into the on-prem, because in the on-prem is supporting the broadcast address. But in Azure, it is not supporting the broadcast. So that's why, so there should be some other mechanism where the listener has to figure out the MAC address, or some, if it's don't having the MAC address, so some other alternative listener has to use to figure out which node I have to go and which node I have to connect, which node is primary, and I have to connect with that, right? So for that, we are using the load balancer. So what will be happen in the load balancer? That one we are going to discuss in after some time, right? So I will coming to the PPT again. So what I am telling here, in the Azure cloud, MAC address is always same for all VM. That is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 ABC. So if you will go to the any Azure cloud VM, you can ping for the MAC address. You can see this is the MAC address for the any any VM, Azure VM. I'm telling, I'm not saying about on-prem. So on-prem having the different MAC address for the each system, but in the Azure cloud will having the same MAC address for the each machine, and this is the default MAC address for the all VM. So we can say Microsoft is not giving the MAC address for any machine, right? Because why it is not giving? Because Azure is shared platform and VNet is layer 3, um, instead of layer 2 on the ASI model, OSI model, where we have the data link, right? You cannot change a VM or the other device on Azure and put this on different switch or port. The meaning of this, what I want to tell you, because in the Azure, who having the data center is with the Microsoft, right? And Microsoft, what data center it's having, we have already gone through the lot of video, and what you have seen, you are creating the virtual network, means you are not entering into the Microsoft Azure network. You are creating your own network, so you are owner of your own network. But these things, whatever you are, MAC address and everything, this is the system address, right? So because of security reason, nobody will give you go and find my system, right? So that's why, because you are the owner of your network, not Microsoft network. And in that Microsoft, in the Azure, there is the multiple of people who is taking the subscription, who is taking that space on the Azure, right? So that's why it is not opening the every details, right? So you are creating your virtual network, and you are in the virtual network, you are creating your own subnet, and then you are creating that everything, your network inside that, right? That one you already know. So because of this, Microsoft is not closing the MAC address, because the data center is the with the Microsoft, right? It is not your data center. You are the not owner of that Microsoft system, right? Because data center owner is the Microsoft. And in your case, once you are creating any VM, you are creating your virtual server, so you are the owner of your server, right? So in your machine, in your virtual machine you are creating, means you are the owner for that, right? But in Azure, you are the not owner for the server. Microsoft is owner of the server, so that's why it is not opening that everything as per the network layer. So that's why Microsoft is giving, what it is giving, the default MAC address. And if you'll Google it, you can see the MAC address 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 A and BC is a special MAC address used by Azure virtual machine in the address resolution protocol table, right? So I hope till here you have understood, right? So because we don't have the broadcasting available, so that's why you will not able to figure out which system I have to connect. DNS is given the IP address, but listener don't know the MAC addresses, and broadcasting is also not support into the Azure. And if you are going to see the any system, why it is don't know, right? Why it is don't know. And whatever I discuss here, so whatever thing we have discussed before, right? So in the broadcasting is available into the your on-prem. So that's why even if any system don't know that MAC address, they can easily communicate there, right? But what happened into the Azure? In Azure, MAC address itself, it is not MAC address. Broadcast is itself, it is not supported into the cloud, right? So and the MAC address is always same for all. Even I know the MAC address, I cannot communicate because it's having the same MAC address. So it's also having MAC address, it's also having same, it's also having same, it's also having the same MAC address, right? And so that is the one thing. And second thing, broadcast is not supporting, so listener cannot go and listener cannot broadcast into the all system, right? So that is not possible. Even if you'll go, listener will if you'll go and you can see the each system can have the MAC address, and that is the same MAC address, right? So we will go and we will see now here. If I will go to that command prompt, and what I'm going to do, I will go first, I will show you, I'm opening my virtual machine, and let's see how my ARP table will be look like here. So this is the node DC1. I will try to open start. It will take few seconds. And again, I will explain you. This is very, very important concept. So I have given this one. So I have to rename it node 1. This is node 1. I will open the node 1 also. And I'm this time it is not Azure cloud. This is the on-prem. And just we'll see the on-prem now. On-prem, what is that? Where you will see the ARP table and what ARP table is saying. So let's see now. So just wait. Once my DC will be open, then I will going to I will connect with the other virtual machine. So meantime, I will go here and I will run the ARP-A. Once I have ran it, so you can see, don't concentrate it all, just concentrate only this much. I will copy this part and I will try to paste it here. Right? So what we have done, we went for the node 5. Node 5 is your node. Which node? Node 1. And node 1 you are one. Node 1 is this. So what is 0, 1? You leave it about 0, 1. This is already predefined. So 04 is which one? 04 is your domain controller. The domain controller having this physical address, and this physical address is nothing but your MAC address. And if you are going with the 6 IP address is node 2, and this also having the same MAC address, right? Both having the same MAC address, right? So these two having the same MAC address. Okay, same thing what I will do, if I will go to my Azure cloud now, I have to go to the Azure cloud, not on-prem. I'm going to the node 2, I'm going with CMD and writing ARP-A and entering. So what you will see, this is okay, 6. I'm there in the 6, and just I will copy this 3. And don't concentrate on the other other IP address, because I don't want to discuss now. So just see it here. So one you remove, one will be always, it is predefined. So now what you are seeing, 4 having this MAC address, 5 is also having the same, 6 also having the same. So all 3 machine having the same MAC address. So IP to MAC, right? But what will be happen if I will go to my DC, right? So DC domain controller, just I will try to log in here. Okay. This is my on-prem server, like as a virtual machine, which one I have created here, right? So I will go here. So what you have seen, this all having the same IP address. One more thing I will do, I will go to the domain controller DC and I will try to open CMD, and let's see what it is saying. ARP-A, and I'm entering it. So you can see it's having the address all 5 and 6, right? So even this is the DC, this is a node 1, and this is a node 2. So you can see that everywhere it is showing the same MAC address only for that system, whatever we have created to node for it all, even not what DC I have created, domain controller, whatever I have created, node 1 and node 2 all are having the same MAC addresses. But what will be happen into this on-prem? So if I will go to the CMD, and no, this is, I'm not there inside it. I will try to open. Okay. Okay. A R P hyphen A. This is my domain controller, and in the domain controller we have to see what is the IP. So this is IP of the 10. So in the domain controller, if you want to see in your own prem what is my IP address, what how you are going to see, you can just click it here and go to control panel like this. You will be able to check. Go to the control panel, go to the network and interface, go to the network sharing, right, and then go to the change adapter setting. Just double click on this, go to the properties, and inside that you go to the IPv4 and just double click on this. You can see this is the IP in 192.168.50.152.10. This is the same thing, 192.168.152.0. So this means 10, right? This is the IP address of my domain controller, and there is two more node whatever I have created, 11 and 12, both having different IP. So I will just copy it and I will paste for you. So here already I have pasted. You can see I have given here DC node is 10, node 1 having the 11, node 2 having the 12, cluster IP is 13, AG1, AG2 is using 14 and 15. So leave it about that. So in that node, if you are going to DC 10, what you are seeing 11 and 12, whatever IP you are seeing for this two node 11 and 12, it's using 53 and CA, right? 53 and CA. So that's why you go to this, you can see this having the two different, even 11 means this is the node 11. Node is which node? It is a node 1, and 12 is node 2. So node 1 and node 2 having two different MAC address, but in the cloud you can see both having the same MAC address. So in cloud, MAC address is not it is the default MAC address. It is will be used by your Azure cloud, right? But in on-prem it's having the unique address, right? So be clear about this. And what you understood, broadcast address is not supported into the Azure cloud. So that's why when it is going, your listener is going, where it is going, listener is going to a DNS, right? In the on-prem also, in the not on-prem, in the cloud, the listener will DNS having the all in tree. So your listener is going to the DNS, and DNS it is asking which IP address is the primary. It is taking that primary, like node 1 is primary, so 10.0.0.5 it is taking, and is going, and it is trying to ask, now it will go for broadcast, but broadcast itself it is not supported into the Azure, right? Broadcast is not support, so that's why it is not, ARP is not resolved here in the cloud. So that's why it is not going to work. That's why listener is not working. But if you are there into the same machine, so there is no need of listener, no need of that then again that there is one more question will come in your mind. When I am there into the primary node, right, I was able to connect with the listener. So how it is possible? Because you are sitting onto the 10.0.0.5. Just example, you are there in the node 1, and node 1 is your 4, right? And node 4 is your 4, and listener is also available into that node. Listener has to connect with the 4 only, and you are connecting the listener from the same node. That's why you are able to connect. Just example, you can see like I am there into the 4th, right, into the 5th 10.0.0.5 node. I am there, and in here you can see it is not saying about my MAC addresses, because I am in there into the same bear. So it's look like I am there in the same home, right? And I cannot shout it, right? I cannot broadcast anything. I know that. So now it is a known thing. for the machine where I have to go and connect. So that's why, if which is the primary, you will able to connect with the listener. So what I will do, I will try to fail over from here, right? So this is the primary. Now what I'm doing, I'm making the failover and making node 2 as a secondary, and I'm making node 1 as a secondary, and node 02 as a primary. So if I will do that, if the failover is going to be happen, now node 2 is going to become the primary node. So now you can see node 2 is going to become the primary. If I will refresh here, if I will, you can go and you will see, if I will express, you can see the node 1 is secondary. So if I will go here and I will try to refresh, so So node 1 is secondary and node 2 is primary. So in this point, if I will go to the node 2 and try to connect my listener, I will able to connect successfully, because this is the primary now. So in which only the primary node listener is going to work. It will not work outside, means outside the world. It is not going to, you will not able to connect. We need load balancer for it. So now what we are going to do, we are going to create the load balancer, and once we are going to create a load balancer, then we will see whether we will able to connect or not. I think till here no doubt for you all guys. So now I will go to the load balancer. If you want, you can type the load balancer, go to the load balancer, and load balancer, you go and see here. So again, one more thing I want to discuss here. Okay, Azure Cloud. So I will go here, Azure Cloud. First, I will go to the PPT, and then I will go and see the practical. So Azure Cloud in Microsoft broadcast are blocked within the Azure virtual network, and are therefore it is not supported, right? So what I want to tell you, Microsoft broadcast is not supported, right? So once the failover will be happen, listener will go to the DNS, ask for the IP, but and IP to connect. But broadcast is not supporting in Azure, right? So Azure, it is not supported the broadcast. So listener will not work because it will not figure out the MAC address. So, and why I shown you the MAC address, because it is using the default MAC address, right? Be sure about this. So listener will fail to connect. So what we do? So we will, so to work around this behavior in Azure, Microsoft, that state and internal load balancing, right? ILB is needed. Should the application connect to the availability groups listener for the high availability? So because of this, for making this always on should be work, they Microsoft came with the load balancer. So now what we are going to do, we are going to create the load balancer. So I have to take the resource group. So I am taking this resource group, PowerShell hyphen RGP hyphen broad. This only resource group I'm using always. Now I'm going with the load balancer name. I'm writing it is as a load, right? I'm using the same region, because where my other virtual machine where I have placed there, I have to use this that region, right? So North Europe is my region. I'm using the standard. So later I'm going to explain you what is the difference between the standard and gateway. Of course, it should be the internal. I'm not going to connect with the publicly, because I want my listener should be work. So that's why that is the internal, right? So for that I am selecting this internal, and it should be regional. I'm going with the next. So what is this? This one is just I have defined my load balancer. I'm going with the next one. Next one, I'm going to do with the front end IP. So what is this front end IP? This is very, very important, right? So what is the front end IP configuration? Okay, so internal load balance. Internal load balancer, right? Front-end IP address will be your private IP address for your Azure load balancer, right? This is going to be the point of connection for your application, right? For SQL Server always on AG configuration, load balancer front-end IP will be the IP address of the AG listener. So what you understood here? So here, if I want to create my IP. So I will give the same IP address of my what address of my listener IP address. So I will go and I will give the name of my front end IP. I will write the front end underscore IP, right? And I will make this F as a capital. After that, I am selecting the IPv4. You guys already knows this, right? So what is this IPv4 and IPv6? Till now we are managing with the IPv4 only. You can go and watch my video. You will able to understood. So which is the virtual network for me? Virtual network is domain DC hyphen VNet. You can see what is the virtual network and all. What is my subnet? I have only one subnet. So I'm going to just select that this one, right? Then after that, I'm going with the statics, right? So, and I have to give here what I have to do. I have to give the IP address. So which IP address I'm going to use? The same IP address which one I have used for the listener, right? So if you will go to the listener, this is the listener, go to the property. I have used the 10.0.0.8 as listener IP address. So I will give here 10.0.0 no, 10.0.0.0.8, right? So this is the IP address I'm going to use and I'm going to save. So I hope you have understood what is this front end IP. So I'm going with the next, that is the backend pool. So what is this backend pool? So this is also the next important thing is the backend pool into the in load balancer. So 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 Azure load balancer allow incoming traffic or requests to follow flow from frontend IP to the group of VM belongs to this backend pool, right? So what I want to tell you, if I will go and I will add here, so from here only that all traffic is going to be follow from here. So anyhow, I will write here backend pool. I will give the name of the backend pool here. So I will just copy it. Why it is not copied? I will go here and will copy this. I will just pasting here. Okay. Okay. So I will backend pull. I'm using the nick and I'm using here. I'm going to add here. So once I will going to add, what is going to be happen? It is going to ask which are the node you are going to be put into this. Means all traffic it is going to be from either 5 or either 6 only. So what you understood in the load balancer, what we have done, we have the listener now. So if you are talking about load balancer know the listener IP, and listener know I have to communicate with this two IP only, right? So I will select this two. I'm not taking the domain because my IP has to move from this to this, right? So I will click here, node 1 and node 2, right? And I will try to save. So what you understood, if I will ask that, so in the front end IP, what you have given in the front end IP, you have given the IP address of the listener, and in the backend pool you have just added the server, which are the server which is going to be the part of the always on where it has to move. These two you have just added here, right? So till here I think you don't have any confusion. You all are clear about this. So next one, I'm going to the inbound rule. So what we are going to do with the inbound rule here, right? So first we will go and understood what is the inbound rule, right? So okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to the inbound. So I'm going to the next inbound, right? So inbound rule, what we are going to do, we are going to see here. You can see load balancer rule. So I'm just to click here load balancing rule. So once I will click here, okay. So just I have to provide the name and front end IP backend pool. Okay, fine. So just I will try to put here all detail. So first I have to give the name of this. So load balancer rule I'm adding here. Load balancing rule I will be going to put here, right? And I'm going to select the IPv4 here, right? IPv4, then front end IP. Uh, so now I have to select this everything, right? So just I have defined my load balancing rule, then going with the front-end IP, which one we have created here, right? So which one fronted, sorry. So which one front-end IP we have created here in this part, that one we are going to give in this place. So I will go here and front-end IP we have given the 10.0.0.8. That is nothing but it is the listener IP address. After that, we are going with the backend pool. So we have created the backend pool also, which is the here, right? So what is the backend pool we have created? Just remember it or go back to the video and see that is the backend underscore pool we have given the name, right? So these things we have created, right? Then next we are going with the port. So what is the port? I'm giving it 1433. This is the port of the SQL, which one I am using 1433. I am giving the backend port also. Then we are going with the health probe. This health probe is very, very important. If I will go and hit on the health probe, just I will try to delete this. Okay. So if I will go to the health probe, I'm giving the name of that health probe. I will write like health. Pro health props, and I'm writing here port number. Protocol is TCP, right? I cannot go with this other one. I have to use the TCP only. Port number you can use the 80, or it is up to you, whatever you want you can use, right? Or you can use the other port. So that port should not have to be in the use. So they have given like some different it is already Microsoft has defined which port you have to use, right, for this. But I'm not going with that default port. I'm using the 80 only. So next is your 5 is nothing but it is your interval second. So if your 5 second, where it is gone, oh sorry, oh I have to type again here. Okay, health prop, health props, and I've given here TCP IP. I'm giving that port is 80, interval is 5. And the meaning of this means your 5 second, right? That it is nothing but the health probe means it is going to check your which server is down. So what will be happen if your server is down? Your load balancer has to tell where where your primary replica, where your listener has to move, right? For that, it is the rule. So right, there will be some mechanism, right, where your which server is went down. And you know that in the cluster, right, in the cluster there will be look alive, and there will be something we are going to use, right? So in that it is continuously it is checking, right, every 5 second, right, which node is up or any problem it is happen here. This is called as your load balancing, right? Because this one we are doing something we have done, because always in the cluster we are creating physically, right? We are going here and we have installed the install cluster or create cluster. Here load balancer thing we are doing from the portal. So there will be some communication, right, between that. So because of that, this one the Microsoft had introduced the health pro. And in the health pro, what happened in the 5 second of interval, if any issue is happen for the 5 second, then only it will be decide like this node is down, and your load balancer is going to tell your listener to connect with other IP. I will save this, and time ideal timeout is minute. We have given the 4, right? 4, right? Section is one you don't want, you can don't give. And then you go and you can enable the this floating IP. This is also very, very important you have to do, and on this. So here IP I have used TCP IP port, I have used that 80, right? You can see here 80. So 80 port has to be open, otherwise it is going to create the problem. Or otherwise Microsoft has told like you can use the 599994995 and 49. uh, for it, right? So so that's it. So floating IP, you have to enable it and just click on save. So I have clicked on the save and then go for outbound rule. Outbound rule, you don't have to do anything into the outbound rule, just leave it as a default. So after that you go for the tag. So tag also, you don't have to do anything here. And after that, go for review and create. So just I will go, I will close this. So it will take some time. Running the, it is passed now. I hit on the create. Just wait for some time. It is going to be create the load balancer now. So actually name is the, okay, meantime it is creating, we are going to discuss like load balancer. So load balancer, the work of the load balancer is balancing the load, right? But in here in the Azure, and if you are talking about always on listener, here it is not balancing the load, it is helping to connect the listener with the primary replica, right? And how it is going to be happen, because in the load balancer you have given the listener IP address. You have told the load balancer it has to communicate with this two node, and after that you are creating the rule, and in the rule you are saying if this any server is going to become down, connect with this with the other node. That is the automatic failover. So for the automatic failover, this health prof is important, right? Where your Azure is going to be decide, your load balancer is going to be decide where I have to connect. but but if you don't have this one automatic failover, that time this always on means your listener is going to be work and connect with the primary replica, because in the load balancer you have the listener IP and you have just configure, you have added these two IP addresses, right? So you can go to the resource. So anyhow, I don't want to go to here. I'm going with the cluster, and this what I'm going to do this time. I will try to disconnect. Uh, I will try to connect with listener. I will disconnect it here. It was connected before. First, I will see where is my ability groups. So you can see it is the primary. Where it is primary, it is the secondary. Node 1 is the secondary node. If I will go here and I will type, so this is the node 1 only, and node 1 is the secondary. It should not has to connect from here, right? So let's see whether it is connecting or not. Before it was not connecting. I have created the listener. Now it has to connect. So now you can see it is connecting or not. So now what you are saying, still your load balancer, after creating the load balancer, it is not connecting, right? So let's see. Let wait for it to be failed. So we'll wait for some time, and 100% it is going to be fail, because after that you have to do one more PowerShell script you have to run. If you will run, then only your load balancer is going to be work. So we'll see now. So now we are not able to connect, right? So I will try to do the failover now. And after failover, we'll see whether we are able to connect or not. So now failover is happened. I'm going with listener. Now see, once the failover is happened, I was able to successfully I was able to connect with my listener. So now what we are doing, we will go and from the Google we will download that PowerShell script. So now you can see this is the script which one we have to run. I will copy this script and I am going with my replica. So in this time my node 1 is the primary, so better you have to go with the primary replica only. So node 1 is my primary and I am there into the node 1. So what I am trying to do, I will go to the PowerShell. I will run as administrator. Once my PowerShell is going to be open, I will go with the show script panel. I'm going to paste this script. So what you have to do from here, you have to just change the few parameter, right? You have to change the few parameter. So first parameter is the cluster name. So where you are going to find the cluster name, go to the network session, click on here. Oh, sorry, yeah, cluster name. You can copy this, and this only you have to paste into the PowerShell. Okay, so I will go here. I will try to paste this, right? So I pasted here. The next is your resource IP address. So where is the resource? Where you will find out this? You have to go to the roles, and once you are going, that is the always on, right? You go to here, then go to this part and double click, right? So take this full name. This full name, you go and just modify here. So I hope you don't have any problem, right? This two where we have changed. First one, we went to the networks and we taken this. Second, we gone to the role, and then we have taken double click on this and taken this address, right? Third is which address we have to take, right? So we have to give the 10.0.0.8. Yes, correct. So what I'm going to do, I have to use the same IP address. Okay. I will copy this, and I'm going to paste here. And then next is what is your prob port? So prob port, we have used the 80, right? Are you remember or not? So better you go and type 80. So this much only the change you have to do, right? So after that, just execute it. So just have it, so it is executed successfully. So now I will try to connect. Anyhow, we are there, the primary here, automatically it will connect. It will not create any problem, right? So but once we'll do the failover, so this time I will try to do the failover. So this time it is the primary, I'm making this as a secondary, and then try to connect. Okay, now I'm making this node 2 as a secondary, and then I will try to connect with my listener, and let's see it is connecting or not. I will disconnect this first and trying to connect. And successfully I was able to connect. So successfully I will able to connect when my AG1 means node 1 is secondary. Let wait for connect because it's a secondary. Meantime, what I will do, I will try to connect with my primary replica. Now node 2 is the primary replica, right? So just I will check, I will refresh my node 1 and try to check what is this, and node 01 also I will. So now node 2 I'm going to check. I'm going here of ability groups and expanding. It is saying node 1 is secondary and node 2 is primary, and I am there into the node 2. So where I am, it is a node 2, it is the primary. I will try to connect with my listener. It is already connected. I will disconnect first and trying to connect, and successfully I was able to connect. I'm going to now where we have tested, we tested on node 2. Again, I will go to the node 1. Anyhow, we have already tested, but for your purpose, I will show again. I will disconnect now. So I am there into the node 1, and node 1 is not the primary. Node 1 is now secondary. So if you want to check, I will go here, refresh, go to this ability groups, go to replica. Now it is saying node 1 is secondary, and I am there into the node 1 only. And from here I will try to connect the listener, and you can see successfully I was able to connect. Now I was able to connect the listener from node 1 plus node 2. I hope it is clear now. Here only I have given what is that what are these things, right? So I hope it is clear now. So what is the health probe And what is the two more thing? I have already explained about the front end IP. I have explained about the backend pole. Now I am explaining what is the health probe, right? That one I have not explained into this into the Azure, right? Load balancer I have not explained. So what is that health probe? So the health probe, right? What it will do, it is going to determine the status which SQL Server instance currently have the ownership over the ability groups listener, right? Health probe is going to decide where your listener has to connect, right? Because it is going to be continuous, it is going to be checked, right? And there you are going to define some IP addresses. That one, by default, Microsoft is saying use 5999999, but I have you 549, but I have used the 80. And load balancing rule, what is this load balancing rule? There you are creating the health probe. Health probe is continuously, it is checking like which node is it is down or it's having the problem. So it is going to be tell go it is going to be tell your listener to connect with that. So I hope it is clear, you have understood why we need the load balancer. I will go with the fast again. Within 2 minutes I will summarize this. In SQL Server, in Azure cloud, there is no concept of broadcasting, so ARP is not going to be work there, right? In the ARP is not going to be work because it's don't having the broadcasting is not going to be support. And MAC address is also same, so it is not going to be resolve the problem. That's why we having the a load balancer into it. And load balancer, how it is going to work? We are adding this listener IP address. We are adding that which node is participating on the always on replica, primary and secondary replica. Then after that, we are creating the health probe. There will be, we are using some port number, it is continuously it is going to be checked which is the primary, right? And after that primary, the health probe is going to decide which is the primary replica. That is the main purpose of that health probe. And second is that because that port is going to be listen on that, right? And next is your load balancing rule. There we are defining it like 5 second or whatever, it is up to your timing you are giving. You cannot go beyond some timing, right? But so in that much minute or that much second, it has to be some problem has to be there in the node, and then it is going to be decide to move to the other node. I hope it is clear. Thanks for watching my video. Please continue and watch my all video previously video where I have explained how you can add everything into the Azure. Thank you so much for watching this video. And now what I will do, I will delete my all resources, otherwise it will be charged for me. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please continue to watch my next video. Thank you.